Have you ever wondered why someone feels a need to shout at you, especially when others are watching? Why do people raise their voices, not in private, but in public settings making a scene? Is it really about you, or is there something deeper going on beneath the surface? If you've ever been caught off guard by someone's loud outburst, this video is for you. Before we dive in, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more practical insights rooted in Stoic wisdom and modern self-improvement. Let's build a stronger, calmer mind together. 1. They've lost control of themselves, not you. When someone yells at you, perhaps a stranger on the street, a coworker in a tense meeting, or even a loved one during a disagreement, it can feel like an attack. The natural instinct is to fight back, to defend yourself, to raise your own voice to match theirs. But if you pause for just a moment, you'll see that their outburst is not a measure of your wrongdoing, but rather a reflection of their inner chaos. According to Stoic philosophy, the only thing within our power is our own mind, our thoughts, judgments, and responses. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is especially true when faced with someone who has lost control. People often lash out when they feel overwhelmed by emotion. They scream because they've lost the ability to process things rationally. Anger has overridden their reason, and when that happens, their rage isn't really directed at you. It's a storm inside them that has burst its banks. You just happen to be nearby when the flood came. Imagine standing on a cliff above the sea, watching a storm turn the ocean into a frenzy. Do you yell at the waves? Do you try to reason with the wind? No. You accept the storm as something beyond your control. You step back from the edge. You wait. In the same way, when someone is consumed by emotion, your job is not to jump into the storm with them. Your job is to anchor yourself, to remain calm, unmoved, and wise. Let them rage. Let the volume rise. Let the insults come. But do not allow them to drag you down from your place of reason, because the moment you retaliate, you've handed over your self-control. Now 2 storms rage instead of 1. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. And there is incredible strength in refusing to be baited, in not matching hostility with hostility. It's not weakness to walk away. It's wisdom. When you stay calm in the face of another's fury, you become a mirror. They may scream, expecting resistance, but find instead their own chaos reflected back at them in your silence. This alone can be more disarming than 1,000 shouted comebacks. The next time someone loses control in your presence, remember, they've lost control of themselves, not you. And you, if you are truly committed to Stoic practice, never give them control of your mind in return. 2. Fear disguises fury. Anger is a mask. Beneath it, almost always, is fear. Fear of being disrespected. Fear of being seen as weak. Fear of losing control, of being hurt, of being exposed. Many people do not know how to sit with fear, so they turn it outward. They clothe it in rage. They believe that if they shout loud enough, no one will see what's trembling beneath the surface. But a Stoic sees beyond the surface. A Stoic sees the soul beneath the armor. When someone lashes out, pause and ask yourself, what are they afraid of? Are they afraid of being unheard? Of being misunderstood? Are they terrified of losing influence or feeling powerless? If you can begin to understand their fear, your own reaction will soften. You will stop seeing them as an enemy and start seeing them as a fellow human in distress. Seneca wrote, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." This is true not just of our anger, but the anger directed at us. When we understand that a person's fury is a shield, not a weapon, we can meet them not with equal aggression, but with steady presence. This is not about being passive. It's about being discerning. It's about choosing not to mirror their fear, because fear is contagious. But so is calm. So is peace. There's a powerful story of Gandhi remaining calm while being shouted at during a protest. He didn't respond with harsh words. He didn't raise his voice. He simply looked at the man and said, "I see you." And in that simple recognition, the man broke down in tears. He wasn't angry. He was terrified, and he didn't know how else to be seen. You will encounter people like this throughout your life. At work, in relationships, even among strangers. Some will yell not to harm you, but because they don't know how else to be heard. Don't let their noise provoke your own. Instead, offer silence, not out of superiority, but out of strength. When you respond with understanding, you invite healing. You give space for fear to dissolve. You do what few people can. You stay still in the face of noise. And in doing so, you become not just a Stoic, but a sanctuary. 3. A desperate grab for control. When people feel powerless, they often reach for whatever they can to regain a sense of control. For some, this means shouting. Yelling becomes a tool to dominate a conversation, to assert presence, to push back against the helplessness they feel inside. But this isn't strength. It's desperation. True power doesn't raise its voice. It doesn't need to. Real authority is quiet, composed, and grounded. Think of the leaders who have inspired you, the mentors, the guides, the voices that gave you courage. Were they the ones who barked orders, or the ones who spoke with calm certainty? Were they the ones who shouted to be heard, or the ones whose silence made the room still? Stoicism teaches us that leadership starts within. Before you can lead others, you must first govern yourself. And part of that governance is recognizing when someone else's outburst is not a challenge to your dignity, but a cry for help. Don't give in to the illusion that shouting equals strength. Anyone can raise their voice, but not everyone can lower their ego. When someone yells to assert dominance, respond not with fear or anger, but with stillness. Let your demeanor say what your words do not. You don't control me, I do. This doesn't mean becoming cold or detached. It means standing your ground with grace. It means showing others what real control looks like, not through intimidation, but through presence. There's a quiet force that comes from knowing yourself. When you're rooted in your values, when you're guided by principles and not by impulse, you become immovable. You become the calm eye in the center of the storm. And eventually, the storm passes. Remember, some people shout because it's the only way they know to feel heard. But you don't need to shout to be powerful. You don't need to meet aggression with aggression. Show them another way. Show them what control really looks like. By remaining calm in the face of chaos, you teach others a lesson they won't soon forget. And you remind yourself that true mastery begins with mastering the self. 4 is what they were taught. People don't always choose their behaviors consciously. Much of what we do, especially in emotionally charged moments, is learned, absorbed from the environments we grew up in. If someone was raised in a household where yelling was a way to gain control or be heard, that method becomes ingrained. Over time, it morphs from an occasional reaction into a habitual response. They might not even recognize it as manipulation. To them, it's just communication. It's just what works. Understanding this doesn't excuse the behavior, but it helps us not take it personally. When someone lashes out, it's rarely about you. It's about what they were taught to do when they feel powerless or unheard. They've learned that raising their voice, using guilt, or throwing emotional weight around gets results. It gives them a sense of control, and control is addictive. But here's where emotional discipline comes in. Manipulation only works when it finds a willing participant, someone who reacts, who plays a game, who gives up their calm in exchange for chaos. When you refuse to react, when you maintain your inner stillness, you deny them the result they're used to. Your calm is like a mirror. It reflects their behavior back at them without judgment, without resistance. This can be deeply unsettling to someone who relies on control, because now they're forced to see themselves without the usual distraction of your reaction. Think of it like this. Someone throws a verbal grenade at you. In the past, you might have thrown one back. But now, you just watch it fall to the ground, unexploded, because you didn't pull the pin with your reaction. That's power. That's mastery over self. And that's the beginning of changing the dynamic entirely. It also gives them the opportunity, if they're willing, to see that there's another way. Your composure can be a silent invitation for them to rise to your level rather than dragging you down to theirs. It's not about superiority. It's about sovereignty over your emotions. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control others, but we can always control how we respond. And in that response is the seed of transformation for both you and them. So the next time someone tries to manipulate through volume, guilt, or emotional charge, remember, they're acting out a script someone else handed them, but you've chosen to write your own. You don't need to shout back. You don't even need to defend yourself. Your silence is your strength. It's the mirror they can't escape. 5. They feel invisible. Behind many loud voices is a quiet ache. People don't always scream to overpower you. Sometimes they scream because they feel no one sees them. It's a desperate bid for attention, not domination. When someone feels invisible, ignored by family, overlooked at work, dismissed in relationships, they can become emotionally volatile. Their outburst becomes their last resort to say, "See me, I matter, I exist." This can be hard to recognize in the moment, especially when anger is being directed at you. Our instinct is often to defend, retaliate, or shut down. But a deeper understanding reveals that what they're truly craving is acknowledgement, not agreement, not obedience, just a human need to be recognized. This is where Stoicism provides an unexpected yet powerful tool: calm acknowledgement. When you listen without reacting, when you respond with measured words instead of fury, you validate the person's humanity without surrendering your boundaries. You're not saying they're right. You're saying they're seen. That alone can take the fire out of their anger. Listening is often misunderstood. People assume that to listen is to comply or submit, but real listening is about presence. It's about holding space without being consumed by what fills it. It's about allowing someone to express themselves without losing your center. That's a Stoic act, not because it's passive, but because it's disciplined. And here's the deeper beauty. When you offer someone this calm recognition, you break the cycle. You don't feed their anger with more anger. You don't answer their chaos with your own. Instead, you offer something they weren't expecting, something they probably haven't received in a long time: respect. Respect doesn't mean letting someone walk all over you. It means honoring their experience as real, even if it's messy. It means seeing the child inside the adult, the one who still feels unseen, unheard, unloved, and choosing not to punish them for their pain. Of course, you still have limits. Acknowledgement doesn't mean you tolerate abuse. But you can say, "I hear that you're upset. I'm willing to talk when we're both calm." That's not weakness. That's emotional leadership. That's choosing to rise above, not out of pride, but out of principle. And over time, this consistent calmness does something profound. It teaches. It models a different way to be. It shows that visibility doesn't have to come through volume. That being seen is possible without screaming. That respect can be given without submission. It creates space for growth, for change. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, the quietest voice, the one that listens, often carries the most power. 6. Pressure needs a release valve. Stress doesn't always wear a sign. It doesn't announce itself politely. It builds quietly, steadily, until something small cracks the dam. A missed deadline, a spilled drink, a poorly timed comment. And suddenly, someone erupts, not because of you, but in front of you. And now, you're left holding the weight of their explosion. This is what unacknowledged pressure does. It seeks an exit. And if someone doesn't have healthy ways to release it, they'll unconsciously find someone to absorb it. That someone might be you. But here's the key. Don't take it personally. Most of the time, their eruption is not about what just happened. It's about everything that's been happening. You're not the cause. You're the moment the bottle finally popped. In these situations, your greatest ally is awareness. Step back, not physically, but mentally. Create space between you and their outburst. That space is your refuge. In that space, you can remind yourself, this isn't mine. Their stress isn't yours to carry. Their words aren't a judgment of your worth. Their anger isn't your fault. This doesn't mean you become indifferent. It means you become discerning. You watch without absorbing. You observe without engaging in the chaos. Like a tree in a storm, you stay rooted while the wind howls. And when the moment passes, as it often does, you remain intact. That's not avoidance. That's resilience. That's strength born from stillness. It's also a moment of compassion, because deep down, people who explode like this are often hurting. They don't have the tools to manage what they're feeling. They haven't been taught how to sit with discomfort without letting it spill onto others. But you have, or you're learning. And in that learning, you become a new kind of presence in their life. You become the example of what it means to hold tension without becoming it, to feel pressure without bursting, to breathe through fire and come out unburned. That's Stoic power, not cold detachment, but conscious choice. Not shutting down, but opening up with boundaries. Not avoiding conflict, but transforming it by refusing to meet rage with rage. So next time someone erupts near you, pause, breathe, ground yourself. Know that you are not a target. You're a witness. And that witness has a choice: to reflect the storm, or to be the calm that reminds others the storm can pass. 7. Testing your strength. In life, your strength will be tested. Not in the obvious moments when you're asked to lift something heavy or complete a difficult task, but in the subtle, psychological ways people challenge your presence, your patience, and your character. One of the most common ways this occurs is through provocation. People may raise their voice at you. They may interrupt you in conversation, dismiss your ideas, or even resort to passive-aggressive behaviors. Why? Because some individuals instinctively test what they perceive to be weakness. It's not always malicious. Sometimes it's unconscious, a reflex rooted in their own insecurities or upbringing. But regardless of the reason, your reaction becomes your true measure. The Stoics believe that self-control is the highest form of strength. They admired those who did not react impulsively or emotionally, but instead acted with intention and clarity. In a world filled with noise, literal and metaphorical, your calm is a declaration of inner power. Imagine someone yelling at you. Try and provoke a reaction. Maybe they want you to stoop to their level, to enter the ring and fight on their terms. But what happens when you don't? What happens when you simply look at them with composed eyes, speak in a calm tone, and refuse to mirror their chaos? You disarm them. You break the pattern. You become the immovable object that reveals the futility of their storm. It's important to understand that strength doesn't always look like action. Sometimes strength is restraint, resisting the urge to clap back, to defend your pride, or to shout louder takes far more discipline than giving in to those instincts. It requires confidence in yourself. You have to know who you are so deeply that no insult, no raised voice, no sarcastic comment can shake your core. That kind of unshakable presence is powerful and rare. Think about Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor. He was surrounded by people trying to manipulate him, flatter him, or test him. Yet he repeatedly wrote to himself in his journal, what we now know as meditations, reminding himself to stay rational, to respond rather than react, and to meet hostility with patience. He understood that letting others dictate your emotional state is a form of weakness. To be ruled by anger, defensiveness, or pride is to hand over your power. You may encounter people who mistake your calm for passivity. Let them. You're not trying to impress them or win their approval. You're practicing something higher, emotional sovereignty. You're developing an inner fortress, a state of being that cannot be hijacked by external forces. And in doing so, you gain something rare in this world: peace. This doesn't mean you allow people to walk all over you. Stoic strength is not about being a doormat. It's about measured response. You can be assertive without being aggressive. You can set boundaries without yelling. You can say no without having to explain yourself. Real strength lies in being able to choose your response rather than being dragged into someone else's emotional storm. When someone tries to test you, take a breath. Observe. Are they truly attacking you, or are they revealing something about themselves? Often, people lash out because they feel powerless. They use volume and aggression as tools of last resort. Your calmness exposes their lack of control. It's a mirror, and many people are uncomfortable with what they see. So the next time someone raises their voice, tries to provoke you, or questions your worth, don't take the bait. Smile, breathe, and remember, you are being tested. Not by them, but by life itself. And your job is to pass that test, not with louder words or clenched fists, but with composure, clarity, and grace. That's how the Stoics move through life. And that's how you become stronger, moment by moment. 8. Shame dresses anger. Anger can be deceiving. On the surface, it looks like strength, an outward expression of power, defiance, or authority. But more often than not, anger is a mask. Beneath it, hidden in the folds of raised voices and sharp words, lies shame, guilt, insecurity. People don't always lash out because they're angry with you. They lash out because they're angry with themselves. Shame is a heavy burden. When someone feels ashamed, whether for something they did, something they failed to do, or simply for feeling unworthy, it burns quietly inside. And instead of confronting that pain, many people redirect it. They project it outward. They turn that inward shame into outward aggression, hoping that by attacking someone else, they can relieve themselves of the spotlight. This is how guilt becomes noise. You've likely experienced this. Maybe a friend snapped at you after being caught in a lie. Maybe a co-worker blamed you for something that wasn't your fault. Maybe someone close to you accused you of being selfish when, deep down, they were battling their own feelings of inadequacy. These moments feel confusing because the reaction seems disproportionate to the situation. That's your first clue. It's not about you. It never was. Understanding this dynamic is key to emotional clarity. When you see anger not as a threat, but as a symptom, you begin to detach from it. You stop personalizing it. You stop reacting to it. This doesn't mean you accept poor behavior or excuse mistreatment. It means you rise above it. You stay centered in your own peace, refusing to be pulled into someone else's emotional chaos. The Stoics taught that perception is everything. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When someone is projecting their shame onto you, you have a choice. You can absorb it, letting it destabilize you, or you can recognize it for what it is, a reflection of their internal battle, and let it pass without sticking to your spirit. Think of yourself like a still lake. If someone throws a stone of anger into your water, ripples will form, but they don't last. The lake always returns to stillness. You are not the stone. You are the water, and stillness is your natural state. This also invites compassion. If someone lashes out at you, consider what pain they might be carrying. That doesn't mean tolerating abuse or ignoring your own boundaries, but it does mean stepping back and asking, is this truly about me, or are they wrestling with something deeper? Often it's the latter. People who are at peace with themselves rarely feel the need to hurt others. But here's the crucial point. It's not your job to fix them. You are not their therapist. You are not their emotional punching bag. Your job is to guard your peace, maintain your clarity, and protect your mental and emotional boundaries. Just because someone drops their emotional baggage at your feet doesn't mean you're obligated to pick it up. In moments like these, remind yourself of the Stoic ideal, to remain unshaken. Don't internalize someone else's storm. Observe it, learn from it, and then let it go. Just like clouds pass across the sky, emotions pass through people. Don't chase the clouds. Stay grounded. When anger comes your way, especially the kind that feels misplaced or confusing, pause. Look deeper. What's really going on here? And more importantly, what kind of person do you want to be in response? Because every time you choose calm over chaos, clarity over confusion, and patience over reaction, you're in a silent battle within yourself. And those victories, they build a kind of quiet, lasting strength that no one can take from you. The Stoics taught us that external events don't disturb us. Our reactions to them do. When someone screams at you, especially in front of others, your challenge is not to silence them, but to quiet the noise within yourself. Remember, your calm is your strength, your stillness is your shield, and your silence in the face of chaos is your loudest response. If this message resonates with you, like this video, share with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more insights on how to live a stronger, more stoic life. Until next time, stay grounded, stay calm, and don't let the noise pull you from your peace.